Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Different Kind of Doula. I'm Colleen, and I'm here today with my co-host, Kathleen. Maureen is out of town right now, but she'll be back with us in a few weeks. And we are both end-of-life doulas. Um, we have an interesting topic today, and Kathleen loves music. I love music, and our topic is music to die by, your personal playlist. Now, I have in some of my classes that I've taught, especially to the terminally ill on death and dying, I have found that when I bring up this topic of developing or creating a playlist, just asking them what kinds of songs would they have, whether they would do this or not, some people have heard of it, but most likely most have not. And what they usually say are things like, I never knew you could do that.
Yeah.
And they get excited. And then they start talking about some of the kinds of music. And they often ask me, what kind of music do I have? Because people, they don't want to go out into an area that they haven't really done before. They think there's a right or a wrong, but there isn't, because it's your own personal preference on things. And do you have to have one? No, you don't. So today, according to research, we've found that music decreases depression, decreases anxiety and social isolation, and it can increase communication and self-expression, which would be really important with those who are dying. And it stimulates reminiscing and life review, which is just a real, I think, key point in this, because people have associations with these songs. And music therapists often recommend songs that people have these personal associations with, like the first dance at your wedding, or a song your mother used to sing when you were growing up. And so this list can be anything that you like. Some people are classical music enthusiasts, and they pick out music that I've never heard of before, but also are things that mean something to them. And it could be music that's rock and roll, art, rhythm and blues, jazz. It can be anything, chants, whatever you want, whatever's in your heart. It can be from Celine Dion to Susan Boyle. So music thanatology came about, and thanatology is the scientific study of death. And it came about in the 1980s, and they joined up and started to appear in organizations like palliative care. And what I find fascinating is during their music vigils, they usually picked a harpist, or had some vocal rendition of a song, and they paid really close attention to their patients. What do I want to say? Their vital signs, you know, and their physiological needs, their respirations, and whether they were agitated or not. And so they would adjust the rhythm and the melody of the music to match the patient. Much like as end of life doulas, we match breathing. We have a breath matching practice that we do with those who are dying. So they tailor it to the individual. And the goal of the music vigil is to relieve the suffering and bring about some kind of beauty and comfort to the dying process. Kathleen and I have a friend whose husband was dying, and that they brought in another member of our collective to play the harp during her husband's dying process. And what I noticed in the room, and was the first time I was really exposed to this, was this beautiful calming peace that overcame everything. People were more natural in their conversations, and her husband was very calm, and he had several people around him. So it was really something to watch. It was really a beautiful thing to watch. So we've talked a little bit about this research, and um, I think it's a real connector with the families and the patient. And Dr. Alan Wolfeld, who's a grief counselor and a renowned author, and he he's a deaf educator initially, and he's written many books, but he says that music imprints itself on the heart more than any other experience in life, and that it is one of the most essential elements of ceremony. I just love that part where it imprints on your heart because that means it stays with you. And I love Paul Simon. I love his music. And as he says, music should continue right up until you die, which I love that. So our thing today is about music in different settings and all about our own, maybe our own playlist that we have. And remember, it can articulate, a playlist can be developed by a family too to help their loved one. And it tells their story from the beginning of their life to the end. And people build their playlists around a certain genre, favorite genre, and what that meaning has for them. So I'm wondering, Kathleen, what your thoughts are on this topic, because I know you love music and you are, and I'm going to say something really nice right now. You are a very joyful person who loves to just spontaneously break out and dance. So I
Yes,
know music has a special meaning.
dancing.
Dancing, yes. Oh, and sing, yes. Oh, yes. And Kathleen is a singer. She's
No, I'm not a
awesome.
singer.
Yeah, she can sing. She can carry a tune. I cannot. Anybody who can carry a tune
Yeah,
that
well,
I can't is a singer.
well, I think I love you speaking to the therapeutic value of music. And some music makes us want to move, it just automatically lifts us up. And some of it touches our heart, and some of it pulls up memories. And I thought I would give a few examples. When my dear friend died when she was 29, we had always talked about how we were going to be way better than everybody in the movie St. Elmo's Fire. And we kind of had this joke, um, because it's somewhat of a tragic story, but it was a movie at the time. And now when I hear that song, just the beginning of the song, I just say, oh, Billy, just my dear friend, I feel you. And music played a really important part in a recent wedding that I went to, which was my niece's, and they said their vows. She had lost her dad during the pandemic, and they played AC/DC on
Wow.
their exit to honor him in her uh, marriage. So, and life, just that he's there to bring him into the ceremony. So music is a way to stay connected too, and I think it's really important to speak about what moves you and brings calmness. And Colleen, the one thing that I may have shared before, but I'm going to share it again, is by my dad's deathbed, they had talked to my dad. My dad was pretty easy. He liked Neil Diamond, John Denver, and a few others. And he liked a lot of upbeat songs, but those were kind of the playlists that were running through. But what was happening during the dying process is it was making it uneasy for everybody around him, depending on what song came up, because sometimes it was a really uplifting song, and I noticed it while I was there, over several days. And so one day I was like, you know what? I was in there alone. I said, I'm going to put on soothing, calming classical music. And I did. And I will never forget, my brother-in-law walked in and he goes, oh, yeah, this is nice. And I thought, the music is also about that connection and ease for people around you. So I also thought that's really important to think about too, about what can calm you and what do you need when someone's dying, with music.
Yeah, that is so fascinating because what you finally did was kind of match the mood in the room and try to control it, even for the dying person. and for the family, you know. I worry sometimes about well, I think a playlist will evoke emotions no matter what. Okay. And so I've told my two sisters, one of the songs at the top of my playlist is the Pilgrim by Enya. Pilgrim, how you journey, and one road leads to silver, one road leads to gold, but one road leads to you, back to you. And that just kind of matches Ram Dass's "We're walking each other home," because it's like that road is within you and your own home. And so I know I'm asking my sisters to sing that. I hope they can make it through. Now, they sang at my father's funeral, but it's a different kind of song. And I don't know. But it's really what the dying person wants. And so it's my playlist, and I'll have a doula, and I'll talk to them about this, and hopefully they're good with monitoring things so that things don't go out of control. But one of my most favorite ones, and I learned it when I was going through the Conscious Dying Institute and I was teaching, and somebody brought this one up. It was by the Avett Brothers, "No Hard Feelings." And I don't know if you know this one, Kathleen. I think you have heard it.
You've shared it with me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I play it about once or twice a month. And so I just want to say I'm going to just kind of say a few of the words because I don't have the music present, but they're a great band anyway. And it starts out with it's about no regrets, and it's about forgiveness and love. And so when my body won't hold me anymore and it finally lets me free, will I be ready when my feet won't walk another mile and my lips give their last goodbye, kiss goodbye? Will my hands be steady when I lay down my fears, my hope, and my doubts? The rings on my fingers and the keys to my house with no hard feelings. And when the sun is low in the west and the light in my chest won't be held at bay any longer, when the jealousy fades away and it's ash and dust for cash and lust, and it's just hallelujah and love in thought, love in the words, love in the songs they sing in the church, and no hard feelings. Lord knows they haven't done much good for anybody. And then it ends kind of toward the end when my body won't hold me anymore and finally lets me free. Where will I go? Will the trade winds take me to south through Georgia grains or tropical rains or snow in the heavens? Will I join the ocean blue or run into a savior true and shake hands laughing and walk through the night straight to the light, holding the love I've known in my life and no hard feelings? I play that twice a month to remind myself of my impermanence in this life, and it brings me comfort. So that is at the top.
I love it. And I think I like what you said. I think there's the thing about like at the bedside and then also at a funeral service, thinking about what kind of music you want to have at a funeral service. And, I come from a family with a huge tradition of Catholicism and with the Irish, and "I'll Raise You Up on Eagle's Wings." It was like at everybody's funeral, and we had it at my dad's funeral. And when I listened to this song called "Spirit in the Sky,"
Oh, I
going
love
up
that.
with the spirit in the
Yeah.
sky, I always think
Yeah.
that I want that played when people are coming to honor me, whatever that might look like. If it's a celebration of life, and I get to have that option, or if it's a service, a memorial service. I really like that one. And I did some research too, and I thought it's really interesting. There's on Spotify, there's actually a playlist for death and dying that
Oh, wow.
you can access. And then also there's songs that I didn't know were about death and dying that I found out about too. And I think that during the near-death experience, I think a way that we can communicate, because what we think is that auditory is one of the last things to go, not being able to speak or see or be able to communicate in other ways, but perhaps listen to and hear. And we have lots of examples where people have died and come back and they heard things the entire time. They heard the entire conversation, even though they had no vitals. And so I find that really interesting. Yeah. So I feel like it's going to be an evolving song. And I would say the way music has touched me, there's definitely, if I didn't have a music list, I know Grease would be a Grease song. You're the One That I Want would be on there, just because my dear childhood friend and I sang and we lip synced and danced to that when I was young, and we won contest after contest after contest doing that. And so I'm heavily associated with that song, at least with my family in my youth. So I think about things that, yeah, when that song comes on, people would think about me and my family. And I have many of those where a song will come on, and after the grieving process, it can bring in joy and lightness and make me feel connected and brings back those memories and an opportunity to talk about someone.
I love that. And I love your opener with Spirit in the Sky. That is such a great song. Um, it is true too, because at funerals, the songs to help the grieving process with the family at the time. And some of them that I came across when I was looking at different lists, and thank you for sharing about Spotify. That is awesome that they've done that. Um, but for instance, some of them that were mentioned were like Stand By Me by Benny King. And
Mm,
it's kind of about love and perseverance, and that can elicit if you're at a funeral and it's death by suicide, a
yeah.
family member, James Taylor, Fire and Rain, talks about his loss of his friend and Suzanne, and he said, in it was really interesting. Won't you look down upon me, Jesus? You've got to help me make a stand. You've just got to see me through another day. Just shows that grieving, heavy heart. And it was really popular in the 70s. And he was very passionate when he wrote that. And its themes are really applicable today, even if one doesn't die by suicide. To just
Sure.
stand firm during this hard time. But the other one that kind of surprised me was Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
Mm,
This heartfelt exploration of loss and change. Everything changes. And it was a choice to honor the loss of a memory of a parent or a close loved one. This song can be used. And it's favorite, actually, I found out in many memorial services. I
mm,
didn't even know that.
yeah.
And of
And
course, what we all know is for that person that was innovative and did things their own way, My Way by Frank Sinatra is often played. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway. And much, much more than this, I did it my way. And then it might evoke laughter because they might say, well, this person was really hard headed. I have actually seen a response like that. But I just think music just covers everything.
It really does. I'll add to your list for those Swifties out there. Uh,
Oh,
Marjorie is a song about Taylor's grandmother, and she sings, you're alive in my head." And that, you know, again, many songs that I didn't know were about that, or I wasn't paying attention. That's the other thing, is sometimes I just sing along and I'm like, oh, that was about that. I know that that one of the Beatles, I love Imagine,
oh
and
yes, that's on my playlist.
yeah, I love that song, and Let It Be.
Yes.
I think also those two evoke a lot of emotion for me. And I think not Paul Simon, who is the Beatle? I'm escaping his name, that's alive, who lost his son. He wrote a song about heaven.
Eric Clapton,
Yeah.
Tears, Tears in Heaven, something like that.
Yes, yes. And I saw a video when Justin Bieber introduced a song Ghost.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, if I can't be close to you, I'll settle for the ghost of you. And that one's really nice. And Coldplay, Fix
Love
You.
Coldplay. Yeah.
Yeah. And and the tears come streaming down your face when you lose something you can't replace, and the lights that guide you home. Yeah, and I love
One of
that.
my all-time favorites too.
Yeah, yeah, I've been able to see them a couple times, and it does just bring you goosebumps, seeing them play as well. A lot of us will think about Candle in the Wind with Lady Di and Elton John playing for that for her funeral services, and The Places We Won't Walk with Bruno Major, is also
Yeah.
a beautiful song. So there's Carrie Underwood, for those of you who are more country. Country does a great job with Heartache.
Oh, they're real
And
good at it.
and so does R&B, and we have a lot of R&B in our house. And so Just a Dream with Carrie Underwood. And I think just exploring this, your favorites, A Sky Full of Stars is another Coldplay song that's
Wonderful.
wonderful. And I think it's the parts that move you, and then also what brings comfort, and it might be a song when you were uh, at a funeral that brought you some peace. I know at my sister-in-law's funeral, they played Beaches, and I just cried and cried with that. And a dear friend sang it so beautifully during that funeral service. And I also think movies are a great way to inspire us and get us to think about this. The one that I remember being shocked about, because the movie's quite old now, is Love Actually, especially coming off the holidays. When Liam Nielsen's wife in the movie dies in the funeral service, and it's a Bye Bye Baby is what they play in the service with pictures of her. And there's a shot of one of her best friends just kind of laughing when that song comes on, saying she wanted to do it this way, so here we go, and you can tell that it's heart-wrenching for her husband to actually do that in the movie.
I think that's beautiful. And by the way, Kathleen, movies, that can be one of our topics in the future because there are so many movies on death and dying that are just amazing, amazing. As you were talking, I was thinking, this whole thing, there are some hospices that actually have created like music care plans, which I think is a great idea, how to get even people to start thinking about things. And even in reminiscing or life review, and like for instance, one care plan I came across was like the person had like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and what it did for the dying person was elicit all these childhood memories that they had in singing that, hearing that song, or singing that song, or hearing mom sing that song. Um, but it elicited the feeling of hope, and that's what they used to do at family gatherings. So it just brought that whole feeling together. And the other one was, and it comes up often, is What a Wonderful World,
Mhm.
by Louis Armstrong. And it's just that appreciation for nature and life and peace and beauty. And this particular person who was dying connected with that song because they always were listening to it on a sunny afternoon. And
Mm.
so they would see all this beauty around them. And that was really nice. And then the other one is I Will Always Love You, was in the
Yeah.
Music Care Plan by Whitney Houston. And it's just a song about love and gratitude for a relationship. And this person who was dying had dedicated that song to their spouse on their wedding day.
Yeah.
So it brought back all those, memories and the fondness of everything.
Yeah, I love that. I think love songs, saying goodbye in the final moments and singing the song, playing the song and singing it to one another is a beautiful process. thinking about what are the most important things are forgiveness and love and gratitude and goodbye. And so I think thinking about that connection, that feeling of connection, and I love that idea of eliciting emotions and memories. I know that the holidays are great music uh, time for me. And I also think spiritual songs that bring peace and chanting and the types of musical instruments that can feel really, really soothing, like the harp, the piano, the violin. It could be any. I love Isaac Perlman, his music, and most of the music there I would be happy just to have going all the time in the background. And I think too, it's noticing the response, and noticing your response when you're in the room with someone who is dying. I think just paying attention and being responsive. And I think too, having a way of connecting when there can't be words, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, it's that's so, so true. I was just thinking of a few more when you talked about the Beatles and the country singers. Tim McGraw, has several songs that will connect to dying and death. And then I was thinking, well, you know, I like John Tesh and I love the song Watermark, and The Dance by Garth Brooks, is one, and The River by Garth Brooks sings that too. All just elicit some kind of part of my life that I had lived and brings me back to that.
Yeah.
And the struggles, the ups and the downs of life that people experience. Um, you mentioned your instruments, and I'm thinking too, cello, violin. I love acoustic guitar, brings out so much, or a piano can ease anxiety. Paul Cardall is one of my favorites. Gracie's Theme and Life and Death um, are just beautiful piano renditions, and you can actually take your mind away. I can see how you could relax with all of this, and just chill or fade away, as they say, and feel okay.
Mhm.
Well, I think we're getting toward that time again.
Yes. I'm gonna put a final thought. I know that we've talked about Alzheimer's and dementia, and it can be a great connecting way to have music. And really, again, some people who aren't able to talk can sing and sing very clearly and have that memory come back. And so it's really amazing. Music can be a connector and a healer and another way to have some expression and connection, no matter where you are in that process, disease process. So it's not the topic, but it's something worth noting when we're talking about music. All right. So once again, we're so happy to be here. We're learning and growing alongside you as pioneers, as end-of-life doulas. And we are part of the Gentle Passage Doula Collective. You can go to our website and find our events and upcoming trainings there. And we offer death cafes once a month that are virtual, so anyone is welcome around the world. And you can find that on our website, as well as webinar trainings that are monthly, focused on these kinds of topics where we want to be resourceful for end-of-life doulas and help one another along the path with different tools and resources and understandings that can decrease suffering and help for a peaceful transition and death and minimize the grieving process for those of us that go through it with a dying person. And then we also offer trainings and train other doulas as well. And we have trainings that come up, and you can find our trainings there as well. And Colleen, you offer services and I offer services, and you'll be able to read about the different services. There's 5 of us. Maureen is also part of the Gentle Passage Doula Collective. and read about what services are offered individually. So thanks again. Join our challenging conversations on Facebook, and we will be back again next week.